So here's another way of classifying things using a dichotomous key. Here we have animal tracks. I'm going to start classifying these animal tracks by how many toes they have. So I'm going to look to see how many of these tracks have 2 toes. Look at them, and the only one that I see that has 2 toes is the deer. So I'm going to circle that one because that's what I'm focusing on. So starting at step 1, we need to classify this, how many toes it has. So does it have 2 toes or does it not have 2 toes? So 2 toes or not 2 toes. So if it has 2 toes, which is the deer, the only one that we circled, we're going to classify it as the deer. Once we have it classified, we can cross it out so that we know it's done. So if it does not have 2 toes, which are all the other tracks on here, we're going to say go to step 2. All right, so step 1 is done. Now we're going to step 2, looking at all the rest of the animal tracks. Now I'm going to look at animal tracks that have 3 toes. So let's go ahead and circle them. So animal tracks that have 3 toes. This is the turkey and the duck. Okay, so let's fill in step 2. Does it have 3 toes? Does the animal have 3 toes? Or does it not have 3 toes? The important thing to remember is that we're always comparing the same thing in step A and step B. So 2A has 3 toes, 2B has not 3 toes. We aren't comparing number of toes to whether or not they have webbed feet. That wouldn't be an even comparison. All right, so if it has 3 toes, we aren't able to classify it yet because there are 2 tracks that have 3 toes. So we need to keep going with this one on to step 3. So go to 3. We have to finish 2A before we can go on to 2B. So 2A tells us to go to 3. We have to go to 3 to finish this one out first. So moving on to 3A. How can we classify these 2 tracks even further to make sure that we know what animal it is? What are some differences between the 2? What I notice is that one of them has webbed feet, the other one does not have webbed feet. So let's use that. Webbed feet. Which one has webbed feet? That is the duck. And which one does not have webbed feet? That one is the turkey. Okay, so we have those ones classified. We can now cross them out. Awesome. So step 3 is done. But step 2 is not done yet. So we have to go back up to 2B to finish that one out. So all the other animals that are left are animals that do not have 3 toes. They have more than 3 toes. So to finish this one out, we have to go to the next step. So we're going to say go to 4. All right, so for step 4, now we need to classify the rest of these animals. So we can keep with the same theme in doing number of toes. So next number of toes is the ones that have 4 toes. Let's circle the ones that have 4 toes here. These 2 right here. So do they have 4 toes? Oops. So 4 toes or not 4 toes? Remembering to classify the same thing in each step. So 4 toes with not 4 toes. Starting with 4A to be able to finish that one out. They both have 4 toes, so we have to move on to step 5 to be able to finish classifying these 2 animals. So go to 5. And again, we have to finish 4A, so in order to do that, we have to finish step 5. A way to classify these 2 animals, one of them has claws, one of them does not have claws. So why don't we do that? So claws and not claws. The animal that has claws is the coyote. So we could fill that in here and cross it off because we are done classifying him. Okay, the one that does not have claws, our animal that does not have claws, is the bobcat. Awesome. So our bobcat is classified. We can now cross him out too. Awesome. Step 5 is done, but step 4 is not done. So we need to go back to step 4B and finish that one. So all the animal tracks that are left are the ones that do not have 4 toes. So we have 3 of them left. Let's circle them. 1, 2, and 3. All right. So in order to finish this one, we need to go on to step 6. So all the ones that have not 4 toes, go to 6 to finish this. All right. At 6, looking at these last 3 that we need to classify, I see that one of them has webbed feet and the other ones do not have webbed feet. So let's classify that. So webbed feet. And not webbed feet. All right, we could see that the one with webbed feet is called the beaver. Let's cross the beaver out so that we know that we're done with him. And then the not webbed feet. There's 2 that do not have webbed feet, so we can't finish this one in this step. We have to go to step 7. So go to 7 so that we could classify the last 2 animal tracks. All right, the last 2 that are left, they're pretty similar. They both have claws. They both have 5 feet. But what I do notice that's different is that for the black bear, the toes are not connected to the rest of the foot. They're kind of separated. So that's what I'm going to classify them as. Separated toes. Separated toes or not separated toes. See how I'm evenly comparing the things in step 7A and step 7B? We have separated toes and not separated toes. They're evenly compared. All right, the one with separated toes is classified as our black bear. The one that has not separated toes is classified as our raccoon. Let's cross those ones off so that we could see that we are done with those 2. Awesome. So now we have our finished dichotomous key. Let's check our work to see if it all makes sense. So why don't we pick a random animal and we'll follow the dichotomous key to see if it matches up. So let's do our coyote. So looking at our coyote, starting at step 1, So starting at step 1 for the coyote, does it have 2 toes or does it not have 2 toes? No, it does not have 2 toes, so that tells us go to step 2. Going to step 2, does it have 3 toes or does it not have 3 toes? It does not have 3 toes, so we need to go to step 4. So jumping to step 4, does it have 4 toes or does it have not 4 toes? It does have 4 toes, so we're going to go to step 5. Step 5 says, does it have claws or does it not have claws? It has claws, so we see that it is a coyote. Checks out. Let's do one more just to make sure we know that it worked out. So let's look at our beaver over here. Looking at the beaver. So, starting at step 1, does it have 2 toes or does it not have 2 toes? This one does not have 2 toes. So let's move on. It does not have 2 toes, so let's go to step 2. Does it have 3 toes or not 3 toes? Does not have 3 toes, so let's go to step 4. Does it have 4 toes or not 4 toes? Not 4 toes, so let's go to step 6. Does it have webbed feet or not webbed feet? The beaver does have webbed feet, so you could tell that that is what it is classified as.